Each candidate is going to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, indicate what district they're running for and why they decided to run. They may also take this opportunity to address anything that is of special interest to them.
Thank you. My name is DeBoer. I am also a candidate for the Central District seat. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Brandon, South Dakota, so when people ask where I'm from, I say, yes, I am from Sioux Falls. I went to school at the University of South Dakota where I got my degree in art education. After college, I moved to Sioux Falls and taught in the Sioux Falls School District. I taught middle school art, which, you know, it requires a certain amount of patience. After a few years of teaching, I opened up my art gallery, Exposure Gallery and Studios in downtown Sioux Falls. Exposure beyond our monthly art shows that feature local and regional artists and our 7 studio spaces that artists rent out to create their work. We also put on art critiques, demos, artist workshops, and special events aimed at bringing art to a wider community. And those events are always free and open to the public. I believe strongly in the power of art in our community, and that's a little bit where my entrance into city politics kind of came from. The first project that I ever kind of advocated for or spoke about was the Community Youth Mosaic Wall. In 2015, there was talks of it falling into disrepair and possibly being removed. I spoke on the other side of the stage here at the podium for that project. And since then have been an advocate for neighborhood associations, for walkable neighborhoods, smart development, safer streets, historic preservation, and bicycling. I'm an active member of the All Saints Neighborhood Association, DTSF. I'm the vice chair of the city's Visual Arts Commission and a board member of the Minnehaha County Historical Society. I'm very passionate about this city, and it has been my passion for the past 5 years to make it a better place, and now I want to do it as my job.
Thank you. We will move on to our questions now. As you have campaigned, what has surprised you most about Sioux Falls city government, and how would you change it?
I wouldn't say that I've found anything overly surprising. You know, since announcing, that wasn't my first kind of foray into working with the city and kind of experiencing what it's like to work with directors and different departments and run through that kind of committee system. I know a lot of the directors from showing up at public meetings and public input and forums like that. But what I have noticed as I have been campaigning is that while I may be very interested in local politics, almost to a nerd-like degree, the average citizen doesn't really know what's going on with city government or municipal government. You know, I have close friends who you know, ask, you know, looking forward to voting for you in November. It's not the same. You know, people ask me, you know, I'm in District 12. Am I in your district? No, yes, part of you, it's not the same. And so I feel like there is this disconnect between the work that the council and the administration does and the citizens of Sioux Falls. And so better communication, more ways to get information out, more ways to involve different people in our city in this process. So I would like to explore ways to get our message, our voice, and our needs out to the community.
One of the most important functions of the council is the adoption of the capital improvement plan. With limited dollars, what policy should the council adopt to improve the transparency and public engagement in the budget adoption process?
I would love to see the public become more involved with the adoption of the CIP with that budget process as well as the council. Right now, a finished kind of budget will be given to the council, and it's their job to kind of edit and proof and try to fight for those projects that they feel passionate about or that are very important to neighborhoods that they represent. And I don't think that's a very good way of doing good government and a collaborative government. So I do think that we need to look at working on those projects as a full council and not just receiving it and hoping to win maybe a couple of battles.
What are the most pressing needs of Sioux Falls?
For me, our biggest issue is our growth and how we're building our city. Our land is limited. We only have so much of it, and right now I feel like we are kind of gorging ourselves on easy development on the outer edges of Sioux Falls. while places in the core continue to become places exclusively for automobiles and not for people. And so I would like to see us start to invest in the core again heavily and start to limit how much we are building on the far edges of town, because right now we cannot afford to pay for the roads that we've already built. That is why our budget is almost completely dedicated to roads and infrastructure. It's because 25 years ago we started building too much, and our roads are wide and we can't pay for it. That's snow removal, utilities that we have to maintain forever. And so we need to start focusing back in on the core and growing from our center again. I touched on streets being wide. Some of the investments I want to see in our core is making safer neighborhoods, and that means narrower traffic lanes, painting crosswalks, fixing street lights, fixing sidewalks, investing in those places, making sure that the people of the core and the central district have the kind of environment where they can prosper.
Almost 5 years ago, Shape Places ordinance was passed by City Council and referred to a vote by the citizens. Do you think this initiative has been successful, and why?
Shape Places was a big improvement over what Sioux Falls had before, and so in that sense, it has been successful. But I think plans always need to be updated and made contemporary. So there are some things in Shape Places that I would like to see updated or become perhaps more aggressive in their design. Parking requirements is something that I would like to see eliminated in Sioux Falls. It is the arbitrary number of required parking spots that a certain business needs to have a bowling alley, one lane per 3 people, swimming pool 10 gallons per 2 spaces. It's crazy math. And what it does is it makes us rely on parking lots and doesn't allow the free market to decide what people can do with their land and what they can build. And so by removing those parking requirements, we can encourage infill development in our core, which is something we desperately need. We need to use our land more efficiently, and by making that change, we can make that happen. The other thing, Shape Places, and this is probably where we need to address it, I want to see better protections for neighborhood homes. In our core especially. Hospitals, car dealerships are slowly buying up affordable homes, $70,000 to $110,000 homes, and they're being disappeared, but they're being legally demolished through zoning, and it's something we need to look at.
Do you have any plans that would make city government more transparent, especially in regard to letting and approving city contracts?
Okay. Yeah, we can be a lot more open with that process, and I think we've kind of seen the growing pains of that over the past few months with the parking ramp project. People just they want to know what we're doing with their money. We want to know the options coming in, and we want to know if we feel that we agree with those options. I do agree there is information that does need to be kept private for those businesses that are trying to apply, but there is no reason why we can't release names, why we can't release generalities at least about those projects. This way the city council and the citizens aren't just kind of given this kind of final project where we don't know what the options were, we don't know what all those details were. After years of planning, that's all we have. And so, yeah, we need to be more transparent. We need to share, and a lot of that comes from an administrative level and the kind of tone that a mayor or administration might set. Specific ordinances or changes, I don't know that I have any at this time, but it's something that we need to be. We need to be open. We need to be transparent. It's common sense.
Increasing crime rates have been the subject of many news stories lately. Why do you think crime continues to rise in Sioux Falls, and what would you do to help our community stay safe?
Well, certainly our rising population is a reason for this rise in crime rate. These are the growing pains of a city entering in that sort of next tier level. The Sioux Falls we were 25 years ago is not the Sioux Falls we're going to be in 5 years. By leaps and bounds. And so there is, big cities have big city problems. And so, yes, we're seeing our crime rate grow exponentially. And in some ways, I think that the city can help with those things is to invest in the core neighborhoods again. Walking, now having walked through nearly every street in the Central District, you can see the differences in investment in these different places. And there are certainly areas that do experience higher crime, and their sidewalks are falling apart, and their streets have potholes, and their lights are burnt out. And not only that, there are dozens of other ways that the city could lend a hand and invest small amounts of money, crosswalks, slowing down traffic, all these things that are shown to not only get people back up on the street, but people walking and knowing each other and knowing their neighbors. And by building strong neighborhoods, that's how we can start to tackle the crime issues that are plaguing those neighborhoods.
We're going to move to our closing statements. Again, each candidate has 2 minutes.
Thank you. And yes, thank you everyone for coming and letting us be up here. The city council candidates, we're kind of like the opening band at a concert, so it's nice to be able to kind of sit up here and feel as important. I'm used to sitting on that side of the room, and so this is a first for me up here. For the past 4 years, I've been out there. Like I said, I've sat there and been an advocate for walkable neighborhoods, for downtown, for public art, dozens of things. And that all started well before my campaign did. I announced this past summer, but the work and passion and projects that I've done for the city of Sioux Falls, for the betterment of our communities, for downtown, for neighborhoods, those things started when I moved here after college. This isn't just city council is a part-time job, technically, by pay definition, but it requires a full-time commitment. And this city is my passion. It is my hobby. Some people have football or stamp collecting or Snapchat or something. But Sioux Falls and city government and making these projects happen and working together with people is my passion and has been for years. If I can just reiterate some of my big three, I'm concerned with the growth and development of our city. I think we need to use our land in a more effective way, and we need to start investing in our core again. We need to start making roads and streets and sidewalks that are safe for people to walk on, that are safe for kids to play on, and we need to make that happen. We can make that happen using creative, low-cost ways, and I've proven that you can do that as a citizen, and I want the opportunity to do it on this side of the table. Thank you.